Hello and welcome back to the channel. In the last analysis, we did an edition on Sula Vineyards, and we saw how that business, the pros and cons of that business, and some of the things which could serve as a barrier to entry for that business, and some of the risks inherent within the business. It was but natural to move on to something contrary to Sula, so that is healthcare within the healthcare segment and hospitals. We've all seen how medical inflation is at a different tangent compared to the normal inflation. The normal inflation is close to 5 to 6%, and the government yield is close to 6 to 7%. But healthcare as a segment, really, the inflation is sitting close to 13 to 14%. And I was really looking at some of the hospital stocks that are there within the Indian stock market. And some of them, I think Apollo, Fortis, and those kind, I think the valuation look very rich. And also, in terms of the capital optimization, they don't look as attractive to me. You could do your own research and let me know in the comment section what you think about those, and if you do think that they are a better candidate to pick than Narayan Health, or what is your view on it. So in this edition, I just wanted to go through the earnings update FY24 for Narayana Health. Narayana Health is predominantly within the southern region, and just quickly see. So here, as we can see, the footprint of Narayana Health is across India, and a lot of hospitals is not as big a name as Apollo or Fortis or those kind of things. We'll go through the revenue numbers and how the numbers are growing and those kind of things. But Narayana Health is predominantly present within the southern part of India, and the promoter themselves hold 63%. Kiran Shaw Mazumdar, who's the richest woman in India, who is also the owner of Biocon, also has a stake within Narayana Hrudalaya. And predominantly, their forte is doing cardiac surgeries, and also they are looking to venture into insurance and provide health insurance. So here, as we see that they have owned and operated hospitals, 18 owned and operated hospitals, close to 6,000 beds. So they're a big group managing close to 4,224 doctors. They've interestingly gotten into Cayman Islands, and within the Cayman Islands, what they saw an opportunity to beat the US insurers, and the doctors within Narayana Hrudalaya who have the doctorate in India. These are accredited within the Cayman Islands. So they set up a hospital there with close to 110 operational beds, and the services that they provide is 40 to 50% of the cost of what the US has. And some of the US doctors who did visit the Cayman Islands are of the view that there is going to be a disruptions within the Cayman Islands in terms of what the healthcare services that they're going to provide. Heart centers, they have 3 heart centers, 18 hospitals, and 17 clinics and dialysis center. As a whole, as a macro picture, India's current median age is close to 28. So a lot of these industries where catering to the old age, the pension and the annuity and the life insurance providing annuity and hospital will begin to gain prominence. So might not be a really sunshine sector right away, but I really feel that hospital in general as such as well, given how social security schemes in India are not that strong, and people are paying through their nose for health insurance premiums. I think one of the best hedges to really tackle medical inflation would be to pick up a hospital stock and see how it goes, and then track its potential and revenue and those kind of things. So as I was mentioning, Mazumdar Shaw Medical Center, Bangalore. So she has a stake within Narayana Hrudalaya, and most of their services, close to 30+% services, are around cardiac surgeries, and they have also gotten innovative in terms of doing robotic surgeries and minimal invasive surgeries. So the best in class surgeries. We will also see the percentage of medical tourism that is happening, and the percentage of people who are coming from outside India to get the treatment done within India, because as we all know, Indians The medical examination, the medical process really is really rigorous, and the amount of volumes that we service. Indian doctors are one of the best in the world, and the costs per se is not as high as some of the foreign countries. Within the UK, you have waiting periods, although you have a social security service called NHS, but you have a waiting period sometimes of 2 months, 3 months, 4 months. And we all know what the situation is in the US. In the US, people are paying through the roof. They have their hospital within the network, but they do not have doctors within the network, and they have bills running. Sometimes your annual salary of 100,000 or 120,000 can be a hospital bill. And most of the letters that were written to Obamacare when Obama was in power, 3 out of 5 letters that he did receive was to do with healthcare. So is going to be a very important segment, very important that analysts and the influencers who propagate stocks within the YouTube community start looking at this segment. Um, it'll be an exciting time, I think, in terms of the revenue earnings. Also, given the fact that we are a diabetes capital, we are cardiac capital, we are a blood pressure capital of the world. Um, Something to do with the food or our habits or whatever it is. There are a lot more people, unfortunately, going to need treatment, going to need the best in class services to elongate our average lifespan. So average lifespan also, if you see within the big cities, is higher, and as you move to the more rural sectors, or you move to tier 2 or tier 3 cities, the average lifespan does decrease. And this has primarily to do with the medical facilities and the medical services that you have. So the penetration not only within the cities, which in itself is required. The bed to patient ratio is not that great within India. So not only the opportunity rises within cities, but also it propagates to rural areas, and the penetration that is required to provide services which are top in class facilities. So in terms of the operating revenues, we have seen how the operating revenues have been close to 1035 crore. The business, if you look at the business mix, so 70% are owned hospitals, 26% is operated hospital. Then we have 3% of heart centers and 1% of other ancillary business. And if you look at the payer profile, international patients make up close to 9%. So we are looking at Q4. I think I'll just quickly move to the FY24 just to so that we have a whole year of data instead of just looking at a quarter of data. So if we look at the within the quarter data, operating revenues of close to 4,036 crores. Owned hospitals 70%, as we discussed, similar to how the Q4 pattern was for that Q4. And here, if you see, 9% are international patients, and these are the patients which really come for some of the specialist surgeries. They fly in, they get the surgeries done, and they fly out. And it still works out to be much cheaper than what they would get in their home countries. And if we look at the cluster-wise performance, Bangalore brings in majority of the revenue, so 35% of the revenues. Kolkata is also becoming a significant part, and they're looking to add more hospitals within Calcutta. And the other, we've seen Eastern Peripheral 10% and another 19% and the likes. And in terms of the specialty in profile, cardiac services dominates with 34%. Others at 16%. I think oncology and neuro services are close to 8%. Yeah, so specialty services, within specialty services, you see that cardiac is the more dominant one. So average revenue per patient, inpatient obviously will be higher because you have cardiac, and outpatient, yeah, lower. And so inpatient are majorly the ones which are covered by the health insurers. And those are the ones where obviously the revenues will be higher for the hospital. So in terms of the revenue breakup by regions, we see that 37% is coming in from Bangalore, and we have these hospitals within them. Guwahati also got a hospital in the Eastern Peripheral, where 11% of the revenues are coming from the Eastern region. Mumbai, Ahmedabad, I think there's still scope, but there's a lot of competition within the Mumbai, Ahmedabad segment as well. And one of the competition which is unlikely and is emerging is that government hospitals are really beginning to come to the fray. So you're going to see a lot of acquisitions. A lot of the private players who are moving on to the next generation would like to sell their hospitals, because the competition that is coming is going to be swift and going to be intense. Because after COVID, a lot of work has gone around building medical facilities. Within Assam itself, we've seen a lot of medical colleges that have opened up. A lot more new aims have opened up. So I feel private hospitals are going to play its part, but government hospitals, I think the services should increase substantially if the current government has the focus in place. ARPOB, average revenue per occupied bed, and definitely I think Bangalore is the highest in terms of that. So the EBITDA margin that we see is close to 19.4%, and the way it's divided is uh, out of the 100 rupees that is collected in terms of revenue, 28% goes towards doctors and nurses. And we have the consumable expenses, other expenses, and the other manpower cost. What we are remaining is with 19.4%. We also need to realize that Narayana Hrudalaya is comes in the economical category. It's not in the exorbitant category, and they have this service mindset within them. They are also coming up with health insurance. They believe that health insurance right now, with all the waiting periods and all the terms and conditions, all the exclusions, is not appropriate. And given the amount of data that they have, they can bring on something which will be more value add to the customers. And even if they cater it more in a captive manner and cater within the Narayana Hrudalaya segment, where they have close to 6 to 7,000 beds, it'll be interesting to watch out as to how this company does go about. There have been a lot of commentary and chatter from the management on this, but yeah, I think it should send a lot of jitters to some of the more prominent health insurers, a lot of whom rely on how to reject claims rather than pay claims. Yeah, so as you can see, Cayman, the in terms of the capex that they're making, Cayman is a significant part of the capex that they're making. They are spending close to 381 crores and 274 crores within the Cayman Islands. And as I mentioned earlier, I think the Indian doctorate, the Indian degree of doctor is accredited within the Cayman Islands, and also the cost that the US insurers are providing within the Cayman Islands is much higher, and Narayana Hrudalaya is able to provide 40 to 50% of the cost that the US insurers are providing. In terms of the shareholding pattern, close to 64% is with the promoter, and some of the FIIs that we see, I think Vanguard Index funds have a stake within Narayana Hrudalaya. The Global Pension Fund, which is the fund from Norway, the biggest fund in the world, that doesn't have a stake within it. That's quite interesting because they have stake in almost a lot of good companies within India, but they do not have a stake in this. And Kuwait Investment Authority they have a stake within Narayana Hrudalaya. So that's it from my side. And as the message within the slide goes, take care and have a great day ahead. Hope you have a lovely and productive day ahead. Thank you.